There's probably going to be some bad language in this, so you might not want to let the kids watch. Hey everyone, Wino here. Fuck me. We just had a pretty good card, and the Wino's saying it was a good card, even though he took a fucking bath. Took a bath on the bets today. Maybe the most I've ever lost ever since I fucking put a bunch of money on Eddie Alvarez to beat Conor McGregor. But yeah, I didn't win anything today, and I lost it all. Mostly on multis and prop bets. The only head-to-head bet I had was fucking Damian Maia. And even in that one, like, I was like, you know, Bilal could probably do it, but Maia was at $3. I'm like, fucking Maia at $3, that's just fucking straight up disrespectful. I've got to give him something. But anyway, I lost a bit today, and I still enjoyed the fights. That's how good they were. So, let's talk about those fights. What do we have to talk about? Well, as in any card, you've got to talk about the fucking top of the card. Israel fucking Adesanya putting himself at the top. Brendan Moreno becoming the first ever Mexican champion. Leon Edwards fucking smashing Nate Diaz. But Nate Diaz having a little bit of a fucking rocky moment and coming back at the end. And the other most notable thing, I'll say, well, not most notable, because one of the other most notable things is Jamal Hill's fucking arm, if he can find it. Jesus Christ, that thing snapped clean off. But yeah, what I was going to say is the other most notable thing was the fucking Riddell versus Dober fight. That was a cracker. Honestly, I think Riddell versus Dober should get fight of the night, but I think Diaz-Edwards will get fight of the night. Like I said, I always do this without going into the press conferences and hearing Dana say what it is. Because I don't think Diaz-Edwards is fight of the night, because it was mainly just a fucking beatdown by Edwards with a comeback right in the last fucking... Not only the last round, the last minute and a half of the last round. And even the last minute of that minute and a half, Edwards composed himself and saved himself. But goddamn, it's a great story. It's a huge third act. If you know fucking story structure, you know you have your first, second, and third act. And for the people's hero, Nate Diaz, to fucking storm a comeback like that in the third act, that story's going to fucking stick in people. And they're going to think that's the fight of the night. But the real fight of the night was Dober versus Riddell, because that was a back and forth battle from start to finish. But that's not the story of the night. The story of the night's almost always got to be the main event. Fuck you, pop-up. God damn it. Give me a sec. Like, this shit fucking distracts my attention, so I've got to fucking take it away, piece of shit. Papa's got his juice. But the story of the night, as I was saying, is, well, the main event, as always, but main event and what I thought was fight of the night kind of come together in this moment, because the story of the night is the City Kickboxing boys not avenging, but paying tribute to their fallen brother, which was a tragic story. I don't know if any of you heard about it, but a dude who they trained with got dog-shotted. If you're not from Australia, you might not know what that means. Another word in Australia, we call it is coward punch. Another word we call it in Australia is a king hit. What you guys call it in America is a sucker punch. And Masvidal thinks it's cool. Masvidal fucking built his legacy on being someone who has the best sucker punch. Guess what? There's a reason we call them dog shots and coward punches here in the Southern Hemisphere. Because you don't do that to people, man. And this dude got killed. This dude got fucking killed because of it. And it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. I don't know the story. Like, Izzy was saying something about the fact that, you know, there were people he was against or something. He was murdered. He was murdered. I mean, he was definitely murdered. Even if it was just a drunk dude at the pub throwing a punch, it's second-degree murder. It's fucking manslaughter. But if there was something even more in depth in it, maybe. But my understanding of it was that it was a fucking king hit. It was a coward punch. It was a fucking dog shot. It was what Masvidal fucking prides himself in. A fucking sucker punch. And that shit kills people. So, one, hey, let's all be sensible here and realize, don't go fucking hitting people when they're not wanting to be hit. Don't even go fucking fighting people in the streets. If you want to know if you're good at fighting, go join a gym. You know what I mean? Go learn how to fight. Go fight in a controlled environment where if you get fucking smacked in the head, there can be people there to fucking stop it and break it up. Don't just go fucking smacking people. It's disgusting. And it's so tragic what happened to this guy. And I am so glad that both Izzy and Riddell won tonight to be able to pay tribute to their fallen, as they would say, brother. Their fallen brother. That's the biggest story of the night, I think. But I may have just gone on a fucking tangent there. But the story on the, UFC card night is Izzy fucking dominating the shit out of Vettori. And that's what he did. Like, the first round, there was somewhat of a question mark. You know what I mean? Vettori came out hard. He landed a strike or two. He got a takedown. But Izzy turned that around almost immediately within the first round. And once he got up from the takedown, he was landing some good leg kicks. Those leg kicks became a real thing throughout the rest of the fight. And it was a hard-ish round to score. But personally, I gave it to Izzy, and so did every judge. It was 50-45 on every card. Because once he got up, Izzy started working that leg kick, which fucking crippled Vettori throughout the fight. And he was also landing punches and whatnot, whereas Vettori's takedown didn't do a huge amount. Then the rest of the fight was almost the same story the entire time throughout. It was Izzy doing what Izzy does, really. Pot-shotting from the outside. Fucking waiting for people to come in and counter-striking. Anti-wrestling. And he did some great anti-wrestling. The third and fourth rounds, I think he got taken down. I think it was the third and fourth, I mean. I know he got taken down twice in these occasions, but I think it was the third and fourth round. He got taken down, and he swept him, and he fucking... I think it was the first time he got taken down. He came back with some fucking vicious ground and pound. I was like, oh, shit. Because one of those bets that I said I lost was Izzy by knockout, so I was super excited. I was like, go on, fucking knock him out. That's why I was also super excited about the leg kicks. I'm like, cripple him, motherfucker. I also had money on Nate Diaz to be, not Nate Diaz, on Leon Edwards to finish Nate Diaz by knockout. So that's also why I was super excited about the leg kicks. But neither guy capitalized on the leg kicks enough to get those knockouts. So old Wino ended up with no money. But I digress. Izzy kept doing that every fucking round. And Vettori, it seemed like, you know, has anyone played Guitar Hero here? Has anyone ever played Guitar Hero? Do you remember when you had two people playing each other and like one guy wasn't as good as the other, so one guy'd play on fucking easy and the other guy'd play on fucking medium or advanced or expert? I won't say Izzy was playing on expert and Vettori was playing on easy. I'll say Izzy was playing on hard and Vettori was playing on medium. You know what I mean? They're both good, but Izzy was a definite fucking cut above. And everything that Vettori tried, even his best things were his takedowns. The two good takedowns he got in the third and fourth round, I think. Izzy fucking swept them both and got huge amounts of fucking ground and pound. So that was a clear win for Izzy. I am also super stoked that in his... Well, let's go into his post-fight interview for a second. It seemed a little bitter at first because he was talking about him and Vettori, but it might have been bitter because of Vittori's attitude, because he said Vettori thought he didn't lose. If Vettori thinks he didn't lose, come on, man. Come on. Come on. You lost that fight, dude. You fucking lost it. Like, if you're going to try to make an excuse for how you won that fight, it's going to be some type of fucking upside down, Kafka-esque, out of this world excuse for how you lost. Because you lost all fucking 5 of those rounds. If not, the only round you won was the first. So you lost 4 out of 5. And then next Izzy moved to, as I already said, his fallen friend, which hits you in the heart, and you got to give that props. And you know, props to you, Izzy. I can't think of the word right now, but like commiserations and all my sentiments go to the family, and it's shit that had happened to the guy. And then the third point he made, I was happy to see it because he finally said, he knew it too. It's like Izzy knows promotion to a degree. He knows that, and this is what I'm thinking. Him and his team were kind of testing, because I feel like Izzy never wanted to fight Rob again. Him and his team were testing the thought of not fighting Rob, and when that interview came out, that was the first video, not the first video I ever made, but the video I liked the best out of every one I've ever made, and I'll put that as one of the title cards at the end of this, was how they tried to say Rob is at the back of the pack because he didn't take this fucking fight. And it was like, fuck you. By the way, the first video I ever made was why Rob deserves the shot. So check that one out too. Maybe I'll put 2 videos on this one and you just can watch that. But anyway, I love that Izzy did call out Rob at the end. And as a huge Rob fan, I will admit it was totally fair for Izzy to say, you know what? You wanted September in Australia? I say, no, man. We do October in New Zealand because I'm the champ. And you know what? Fine. I'll say that just not on Rob's behalf, but because I got nothing to do with Rob. I just fucking like him and stuff. But as someone who feels like they're fair in all sides of things, I think that's a fair argument, man. You're the champ. I thought it was a bit fucking softcock to call your shot to want to defend your championship in June when the real fucking contender had just had just fought less than 2 months ago, which is an average fight camp, and then had to go through quarantine, had injuries he had to go through, had to travel back to America, blah, 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 blah. That's in, I will do it now. That's in the other video I'm going to put at the end of this fucking video. So if you don't want to hear me rant, just fucking skip to the end and watch those 2 videos. They're pretty good, I will say. But I am going to give Adesanya this leeway, man. If you're the champ and he said September, you say, nah, man. If you say, if he says September and he's just fought in, I forget what it was, but I think it was April, and you say, nah, June. And it's like, fuck, man. What are you doing? You're fucking him over. But if he says September and you say, nah, October, and I'll fight in between, and you say Australia, I say New Zealand, I'm the champ, I get to decide. You know what? I say fair enough. Fair a fucking enough. And I guarantee, not just I believe, I guarantee Bobby Knuckles is going to take on that challenge. Now, who's going to win that fight? I don't know, man. I'm going to have to do a real serious breakdown. There's a little bit of a breakdown on that first video that I mentioned before. But I am leaning Adesanya, but my heart wants Bobby Knuckles so bad. So bad. So, yes, please, Adesanya versus Bobby Knuckles. And thank you for the first time ever since Adesanya lost his title, he's finally saying Bobby Knuckles is worthy of another shot at the title, which he was after his first defense. Like most, this is also in the other videos, most champions who lose only have to win one time before they come back. And the amount of wins, Robert Whittaker had 3 wins. And they were still trying to deny him the fucking title shot again. So, yes, I'm so looking forward to that. I hope it happens in October. I hope it happens in Auckland. Because even as an Australian, I'm like, fucking, put whatever fucking caveats on that you want to put. I want to watch it. But I've already drolled on too much about this. Adesanya kicked the shit out of Vettori. We all knew it was going to happen, didn't we? Next down was, this is the thing we didn't know was going to happen. Moreno not only won, he kicked the shit out of Figueiredo. Like, fucking Moreno came out there like a bat out of hell. Like an absolute bat out of hell. Like, there wasn't a point in that fight, because I had money on Figueiredo. There wasn't a point in that I was thinking Figueiredo was going to win. I was like, what have I stumbled into? What, like, I bet on one reality, and all of a sudden my timelines got mixed with another reality where Moreno was kicking the shit out of Figueiredo, which is what kind of happened in the first fight, but Moreno, like, had the balls to come back, and then there was fucking Figueiredo had a point taken off him. I forget what it was for. Probably a fucking groin strike, eye poke. They're the two main fucking things people get points taken off them for. Besides a cage grab, but I don't think Figueiredo would be cage grabbing. And my God, it was mainly confidence. Like, that whole thing was fucking confidence. Because in the post-fight press conference, Figueiredo seemed like he had fucking confidence. But Moreno was just kind of chill and relaxed. But when they fucking actually started fighting, Moreno fought like he believed it was his. And Figueiredo fought like he didn't know if he deserved it. Even though he definitely knew he deserved it from the double beatdowns of Benavidez and then the draw with Moreno the first time, which he would have won if he didn't fucking get a fucking penalty in and cop a point deduction. But Moreno came out there like a bat out of hell. Like a fucking bat out of hell. And, my God, he won every round. He won every round. Even the second round, which was fucking Figueiredo's best, he got some top time, but he did nothing with it. Moreno fucking turned it around and did some solid damage. And, yeah, as I said, as someone who bet on Figueiredo, there was never a point that I thought Figueiredo was going to win. I was just going like, I thought it was a given. My biggest given was like Edwards, Figueiredo, and Adesanya. I was right about 2 out of 3 of those. But one loss fucking loses you in the multi. But yeah, congratulations to Moreno. Mexican champion. First ever Mexican champion. Like Cain Velasquez, they'll say he's a Mexican champion, but he's an American champion who represents Mexico. That's like if I was to win, call me an Italian champion. Like it's different from calling Adesanya a New Zealand champion because he lived in New Zealand for a long fucking time. He was kind of raised in New Zealand, born in Nigeria. Cain was American his whole fucking life, but his ancestry, his parents were fucking Mexican. So that's like, even though I'd never win anything, let's be honest. Even though I'd never win anything, that's like me as an Australian calling me an Italian fucking champion. I've never been to Italy. At least Cain speaks Spanish. I don't speak Italian, but I do have a very strong Italian ancestry. So you could say, oh, he's an Italian guy. That's what it was with Cain. Whereas Moreno is a Mexican, a real fucking Mexican. So, as Dana said in the pre-fight, he's going to blow up like nothing else. And he deserves to blow up. After that win over Figueiredo, who's next? Who's next? Askar Askarov. Askar Askarov. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a fucking wrestle-heavy guy who's got some striking against fucking Moreno, who's got this new belief in himself that just blew out the new fucking champion of the division that everyone was fucking super hyped behind, who blew out Benavidez before him, who was always the perennial number 2 behind, like, he beat Cejudo, but still, when Cejudo won that against Demetrius Johnson, and Benavidez was always behind Demetrius Johnson. By the way, why doesn't Dodson go back to flyweight? Dodson's been fucking toiling at bantamweight around the bottom of the top 15 for years. He was always top 3 in flyweight. I just went on a fucking tangent. I never understood why fucking Dodson, after Johnson left, didn't go back to flyweight. I thought the whole reason he left is because he knew he couldn't beat Johnson. But anyway, here's time for me to have a quick look at the notes. Oh, I don't think I need to, actually, because I know what the next fight was. The next fight was fucking Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. And this was just a fucking clinic, like I thought it would be. Leon Edwards kicked the shit out of Nate Diaz. It was super impressive of Nate Diaz to come back right at the end and make a bit of a question of it in the 5th round. As I said at the start of this fucking second cut, 3rd act, Nate Diaz. Oh, it's an inspiring story. But Jesus, man, like, you watch The Real World, you've got stories that give you inspiration, and then you've got The Real World. The Real World was the fact that Leon Edwards kicked the shit out of Nate Diaz for 4 out of 5 rounds. I couldn't believe it was 49, what was it, 49-46 on, I think, all 3 judges' cards. I had a 49-44, man. I gave fucking Edwards a 10-8 in both the 3rd and 4th. Like, he was decimating. And by decimating, I mean it literally, as in taking away 10% of your opponent's force. He was fucking taking a whole 10th off of Nate in each of those rounds. He was taking his leg away. He was fucking cutting his fucking head up. He was smashing him. Leon Edwards proved how good Leon Edwards is. And is it now the question of who gets the fight next against Kamaru? I don't think it is a question because I think Colby should get it. I think they already had such a great fight. I think Colby's already smashed so many people at the top of the division. I don't think you should put Leon versus Colby to fight Kamaru next. because it's like you're burning one of the two contenders. Like I say, you put Colby against Kamaru, and the winner of that takes on Leon. The loser of that takes on, well, if it's Colby, takes on fucking Masvidal. That'd be fucking great. If it's Kamaru, who knows? But the fucking dark horse in that equation is Stephen Thompson, because they made a good point on commentary earlier tonight, which was like, what if Stephen Thompson fought Kamaru? I'm like, ooh, styles make fights. That is interesting. But I've just deferred off into a discussion about the welterweight division. Man, Leon Edwards is right up there. Like, he kicked the shit out of Nate. Nate tried to play mind games. It felt like Nick Diaz, like he learned from Nick trying to play mind games against Silva, but it definitely didn't work on Edwards at all. Edwards was winning most of the grappling, and they got to a point where Nate leant down on his haunches, like to be a smartass about it and stuff, and Leon just kicked him in the ass. And it was like, that's the story of the fight right now. Like, there's a clear better dude. Leon beat him in the grappling. He beat him in the striking. He beat him in everything. And then in the last fucking round, Nate brought it back. Up until that last round, Nate was mum and rider. If anyone's ever seen fucking One Punch Man, Nate was mum and rider. Fighting against an opponent he couldn't possibly beat. And just getting smashed at every turn. But then he did something different from mum and rider, as in he got in a good hit on that opponent. But at the end of the day, Nate was mum and rider. He was never going to beat Edwards. And Edwards did great. He's right at the top. Fucking hail Edwards. Muhammad versus Maya. My biggest question in this was, like, why didn't Maya fucking switch to the double leg more? He got a double leg in the first fucking round. And, yeah, Bilal got back up from it. But, like, much like the Ivloev fight earlier in the fucking card, like, if you can get up from it once, if I keep putting you down, how much can you keep getting up from it? And the thing is, he only tried a double leg one other time in the entire fight. Maya did. I think it was the third round. Maybe, no, it was the second. I don't remember. But he shot it, and Bilal got double unders and shucked it off. And he didn't try it again. But he tried on a million single legs, and none of them fucking paid off. Like, first round was hard to discern. You could give a 30-27 Bilal, but I personally gave that first round to Maya, because the striking, Bilal might have got a few extra shots in, but it was pretty even. Maya maybe got the heavier shots in, but he basically had him pressured against the cage the whole time. He got the takedown, and then, like, the second and third round, it was Maya going for the takedown the whole time and going for the single leg the whole time. Bilal defended like 10 single legs in that first round, and you went for another 10 in the second. You went for one double leg and got it in the first. Go for the fucking double leg. Man, this one fucking, it blows my brain, because, like, I was super pissed off because Maya was the only one I had head-to-head money on, and I was like, there's a clear path to victory. The double leg. Maybe even clinch takedowns, double underhooks, but you keep going for the fucking single leg, and it doesn't work. But Bilal definitely won. He fucking shucked off that single leg, and he just popped. Like, a few jabs, few strong shots, nothing huge, but yeah, he won that easily. Then we get to the bottom fight on the card, and I already mentioned it. Fucking Paul Craig. It was amazing. All I was thinking when Jamal was on top was like, get your fucking hand off the mat. Hands on the chest. Don't put your hand on the mat because it lets them isolate the arm. That's exactly what Paul Craig did, and he threatened it with no real submission at the start. It was like the John Jones twerk your fucking shit, tweak it, and fucking jar it and hurt it, but you won't get it. And Jamal got out of that, and then he was still on top, and he was still comfortable being on top. And Paul Craig started doing that again, and and Jamal's thinking he's defending that, and then Paul Craig just switched his hips immediately and jumped on the other arm, and that's exactly what a jiu-jitsu guy would do. Think you're doing this, and then go after this, and that's what he did. Because he didn't have a submission on that arm. That was just a way to control, make your thing, and hurt you a little bit. It definitely would hurt, like, that twerk. But fucking, he wrapped those hips around the shoulder of this arm, got the elbow on the pelvic fulcrum, and just snapped it. You couldn't see it in the earlier angles of the camera angles, but when they changed the angles later in the replays and you saw that snap, it was like, Jesus Christ, that is a fucking snap of the ages. And luckily it wasn't a snap, it was a dislocation, it was a pop, it was a fucking but like, you could see that just fucking dangling while the ref wasn't even stopping it. And my God, just that's what jiu-jitsu is. That's the perfect example of jiu-jitsu. Looking like you're being overtaken and making your opponent think you're doing this one thing and then just immediately switching up to the other. And Jamal fed him the one thing to think by putting his hands on the mat. Hands on the chest, bro. Don't put your hands on the mat against a jiu-jitsu specialist. Fuck me. But anyway, Paul Craig soldiers on in the light heavyweight division, and that arm break, that arm snap was amazing. So we've already taken a long fucking time. Let me take, before I even look at the notes, I've got to look at the rest of the card. Let me take a quick fucking side note to say, this was the worst crowd in history. This crowd fucking sucked balls. They booed the first fight. Oh, no, they didn't. There was one guy who went boring in the fucking first fight, which was a heavyweight fight, which was a high-action fight for a heavyweight fight, and it was a decent fight. So what are you doing? They booed fucking Movsar Evloev taking the back and grappling Hakeem Dawodu. They booed, the one time their right to boo was Eric Anders. Like, he kind of fucked up a little bit, but I'm struggling on the other times they booed. They booed numerous times where it's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Do you even know what you're fucking watching? One, don't boo a result that is the true result just because you like the other guy better. Like, they booed, there's one, they booed the fucking Leon Edwards result. He clearly won the fight. And they booed it because he beat Nate. It's like, shut the fuck up, you fucking retards. You suck. I hate that crowd. And I've got way more notes for them being dickheads, but I'm just kind of going off the cuff here, and I'm just looking at the fucking headlines of what I've fucking written. So, Felipe versus Collier. Look, decent fight. Yeah, that's the thing I remember about this one. In the first round, Collier, he was winning, even though Felipe was the guy coming forward and having a high volume rate. Honestly, Collier was setting up all his shit off leg kicks. Like, he used his leg kick as if it was a jab. And he seemed to not have the energy to do that in the second and third, because he stopped throwing leg kicks throughout the second and third. And his best thing, Collier's best weapon in the second round was the jab, but he never worked combinations off it. So it seemed like a bit of a cardio for him and cardio thing for him. And I actually thought, like, oh, you'd think a jab would work better to set up your shit, but goddamn, Collier was working his fucking leg kick to set up his shit better than a lot of people fucking work their jab to. And a lot of the time, a leg kick, like, you can get counter on that shit. That's why I was like, oh, that's a risky way to fucking set up your combinations. But it was working. And when he did switch to the jab, he couldn't put anything behind it. And yeah, Felipe was just landing heavier shit and coming forward harder. And yeah, that was a great fucking fight that these dickheads were calling boring. And it's like, fuck you. Then we had Peterson Hooper. Great fight. Love some funky grappling. Love the funky family. I'd love to see more of Hooper. But yeah, Peterson won that. The first round almost could have been 10-8 on Peterson's damage, but Hooper fucking did enough to claw it back into a 10-9, like did enough with his grappling and whatnot. But the biggest thing was, in the first round, Hooper pulling guard was super effective because he was going straight to a hip and working for scrambles. In the second round, Hooper was winning the start of the second round on strikes and whatnot, and then having the control against the fence, and then Peterson switched it, and he was landing a few strikes against the fence and having the control. But the biggest, I was still giving it to Hooper at this point, but the biggest point of difference was when Hooper pulled guard and just laid on his back, and fucking Peterson took over from there. The third round was kind of back and forth a bit, but mainly fucking Peterson out-grappling and out-striking. And Hooper, I think, can be great for the future, but Peterson definitely deserved that win, and Hooper needs to patch up some holes. McKinney versus Frivola, there's nothing really to say about this because McKinney came straight out and landed a 1-2 and knocked Frivola out within like 2 seconds. It was amazing. It was crazy. And then he fucked his own knee up doing like a fancy flip off the cage. Hilarious. But hey, McKinney, once your leg gets fucking sorted, looking forward to seeing you again. Kianzad versus fucking Davis. This one was interesting. I gave it to Kianzad. I thought there are a few ways you could score it. You could give it 30-27. Well, actually, every round you can have arguments for each girl. I gave first and third to Kianzad and second to Davis. Kianzad was landing the heavier shots in the first, even though Davis had the volume when they showed the strikes on the numbers. But you're supposed to go impactful over cumulative, and Kianzad had the more impactful. Even the second round, you could argue she had the more impactful, but I think the most impactful thing in the second round was the leg kicks. And you saw that change Kianzad's her whole mode of operation. Then the third round came out, and Alexis didn't go as much to the kicks as before, and that let Penny unload on those hands. And she had better hands than Alexis the whole time. Alexis would throw more hands, but Penny had heavier hands. And I think she landed the harder strikes and was the better fighter in the third round. And I was all good for Penny. Evloev versus Duadu. Yeah, man. Like, this was... You could have had two 10-8s. Like, the first could have been a 10-8 because Evloev landed a huge shot on Duadu straight away. And they did a little back and forth striking, feeling each other out for the first minute, but then Evloev got the fucking takedown and basically kept him down for the whole round. Second round, he did keep him down for the entire round, and he fucking punched him up a bunch. So the second was definitely a 10-8. And then the third, it was looking kind of half-half, kind of like, oh, who's winning here? Even though I was edging it to Dawodu, but then Dawodu landed some heavy strikes and really rocked Evloev and almost finished him. So, but Evloev did enough to defend himself and come back, and he'd already done enough. And when I say almost finished him, I don't mean I just wobbled him and like was putting on some heavy pressure, and you thought, oh, maybe this could happen. But Evloev had done enough in the round with his strikes earlier and did enough to defend himself to make that. Look, if you're going to call that a 10-8, you've definitely got to call the second a 10-8, and Evloev got the first anyway. So that was his fight. That was the one. That's another one where the crowd booed the decision when Evloev got it. Evloev so clearly won that fight, it was not even a fucking question. It was not even a fucking question. Look, Dawodu was probably technically better in striking, but over the course of the fight, it was pretty fucking close. You saw the better technical striking in the third round when he actually rocked Evloev, but Evloev was winning the striking on my book in the first round, and then he basically fucking controlled Dawodu for the rest of that round. I think you could easily give that a 10-8. You definitely got to give him the fucking second a 10-8. So if you're going to give Dawodu a fucking 10-8 in the third, you got two 10-8s coming before it. Like, Evloev won that fight. That's why this crowd fucking sucked. Anders versus, oh, fuck this crowd was the next fucking comment in my fucking rundown. So it was probably after that fight that I'd already been like, fuck this crowd. Especially, like, even in the press conference, they were being dickheads. They were just booing cunts without giving them a chance to talk and just being, like, super shit cunts. And then in these fights, they were doing the same. Booing grappling or booing the fighters who weren't the most fucking popular. And it was like, go fuck yourselves. Anders versus Stewart was a real dud of a fight up until the last round. It came to life in the last when, like, the first round was somewhat hard to call until Stewart got the takedown because the striking was pretty even. Anders fucking had a lot of control against the cage, so maybe you're edging it to him. But then once Stewart got the takedown, it's like, well, there's a clear point of difference. You got to give fucking Stewart the takedown. You got to give Stewart the fucking round. Second round was somewhat hard to call because it was pretty much the same without the takedown. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of striking going on. But if anything, I'd say Anders even edged the fucking striking, and he was controlling against the cage. But the whole time I was saying, like, don't just hold against the cage. You're not even getting takedowns here. Like, you're holding against the cage. You're trying for a takedown. You're not dropping down to another level. You're not doing anything. Like, Randy Couture used to hold people against the cage, but he used to fucking bash them. He used to throw fucking punches and shit. Throw some strikes. Throw some fucking elbows over the top. Throw some, like, keep the underhook to keep him pinned on the cage, but throw some fucking punches above the top and throw some fucking knees to the legs. Why don't people knee legs against the cages? Remember when you were a kid and you went to high school and fucking someone walked up and went dead leg and kneed you in the leg? One of those would fucking cripple you for fucking 10 minutes. Imagine someone just holding you against a cage and hitting you with 50 of them. But anyway, he didn't do any of that, and he won the second round basically on control. And then the third round, Stewart got the takedown, but Anders swept it and did most of the round on top. And then when Stewart was getting up, he finally started throwing punches against the fence. And I was like, this is what you should have been doing the whole time. So Anders won the fight, but it wasn't the best fight and not necessarily anything to write home about, and something he should think about, causing damage against the cage, like throwing some fucking punches. Riddell versus Dober. As I said before, that's the fucking fight of the night, man. Like, every round, except the last. I think the third is pretty clearly dope. Once again, third, I think I misspoke then. Not pretty clearly dope. Pretty clearly Riddell. I think the first was Dober, but you could have arguments for Riddell. The third was Riddell. I can't see many arguments against that. And the second round was super close. But either way, it was fucking back and forth. Both guys getting rocked. Once they got rocked, they dive in on takedowns. They defended takedowns well. Yeah, fuck me. The first round, they were kind of scuffling back and forth, and then fucking Dober landed one that rocked Riddell. He jumped in on the takedown, and he tried to fucking get his. It was good defensive, instinct to save yourself. But then at the end of the round, he came back with some heavy shots that looked to somewhat rock Dober. And so I did give Dober that round, but Riddell was right in it. The second round was the hardest to call because it was basically both of them smashing the shit out of each other, both of them getting a takedown. Riddell had more time in top in a more dominant position in the takedown. And honestly, I think on the feet, even though the commentary was saying like Dober's shots have more power and they're doing more impact, I'm like, I don't know about that, man. Like Riddell was doing some fucking shit himself. And then third round, Riddell came out super hard. They were going back and forth, but like at the end of the round, Riddell knocked him super, like completely fucking rocked him. Had him wobbling, had you thinking, is he even going to survive? But then Dober did what fucking Riddell did earlier and jumped in on the fucking grappling to fucking save himself. Riddell turned it, was on top, then he fucking switched it, was on top of Riddell. Then Riddell turned around, got the fucking stand up again, but then took it down and then finished the fight. Fucking raining blows down from the top. That was the fucking fight of the night. And I thought Riddell won. You could have scored it either way. But, man, that was an absolute fucking classic. And Riddell did get the fucking decision in the end. And I thought that was the right decision. Then I've already talked about the pay-per-view, but one note I did make is when I first put on the pay-per-view, they had a fucking ad for the NBA. I just paid $55 fucking dollars for this pay-per-view. Don't fucking put ads in it. I've already fucking paid for it. You don't need other people to pay you for it. I fucking paid for it. Don't put NBA ads in my fucking pay-per-view. If you want to put promotions for future fucking UFC events, fine. I get that. That makes sense. And if you've got sponsors, like they had with Manscaped, saying, oh, the rules of the Octagon are brought to you by Manscaped. Yeah, fine, because you're quickly just saying, Manscaped and shit. But don't put on a fucking ad. Don't put on a fucking ad for anything, let alone another fucking sport, like fucking NBA or anything else. That fucking pissed me off. But anyway, I think that takes me to the end. Let me have a quick look. Oh, yeah, a quick another fuck the crowd thing I made was after the Nate Leon fight. They were booing Leon's decision win. It's like, fuck you, he definitely won. And I also thought Nate's fucking excuses for why he didn't win was shit. Nate's performance was so super noteworthy. It was such a great fight. It was so amazing. And then he fucking spoiled it all by fucking saying, oh, I wasn't myself for this camp and I wasn't quite up. It was like, nah, man, you got outclassed. Just fucking take the loss on the chin. Yep. And that's it. That's it, I'm sure. Good tributes. Yeah, as I said, good tributes to Riddell and Izzy's teammate. It's a super sad story, what happened to him. But great fight overall. Great card overall. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. Fucking, I've just fucking ran out of shit to say. I'm a wino. I'm drunk. I need to piss, to be honest with you. That's completely taken up my brain right now. I need to fucking piss. So thanks for listening to my bullshit. And I'm going to go piss now.